All right, it's about 1 o'clock. Let's begin. Thank you all for coming. I appreciate it. Some of you I haven't met and embarrassed myself in front of yet or offended, so thank you for coming. I can get the rest of it out of the way in one fell swoop. Appreciate you coming to my talk. As you might have read, my talk is Can Knowing Some Quiche Save Your Life and Make You Rich? And as my lawyers instructed, I include, but in small print, probably not, but why take chances? So in this talk, we're going to be answering a couple questions. We're going to answer, what is Quiche? We're also going to answer who speaks Quiche, and also what is Quiche up to nowadays? And we're also going to try and answer how much Quiche could a Quiche, if a Quiche could Quiche. That is, if there's enough time, and I will guarantee there will not be. So before we talk about Quiche, we're going to talk about a million other things, including, who am I? Well, I'm Dave. Hi, Dave. Hi, how are you? All right, let's wander away from the computer. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I love languages, like most of you. I've dabbled in over 40 languages, but before anyone corners me to try and get a conversation, I will say that I've only studied maybe a couple dozen to a couple hundred words of most of them, and my abilities vary wildly based on where I'm going, what I'm doing, and what I get distracted by. Let's see, so while the dream is to be a world-famous polyglot, the harsh reality is, nope, I will never be. At best, I would be called a quasi-glot or a flexiglot. Copyright 2017. One other thing that you should know about me is I love endangered languages. Yes, thank you. Thank you. All right, I'm buying you a drink. Yeah, there we go. All right, water's all around. Hey, so several years ago, I discovered that there were organizations whose sole mission was to save languages from dying out, because the worst thing about a language no longer existing is that it's gone before I get to learn 10 to 20 words in it. So since then, I've actually gotten involved with some volunteer projects. I've worked with children's stories in Plains Cree. I've helped transcribe Tunica texts. Say that 10 times fast. And two of the bigger projects I'm proud to be associated with are inadvertently co-producing a documentary called Language Healers. And I can one-up that. I was actually involved with a movie called The Navajo Dubbing of Star Wars. The Navajo Nation put a project together to dub Star Wars into Navajo. And I called and said, hey, I'm not Navajo, but can I be in it? And they said, okay. And I got to say 6 sentences, and it was the best day of my life. Star Wars and languages, I can die a happy man. So there is May the Force be with you in Navajo. So I won't even say it. So one other thing you should know about me is that I am going to grad school in the fall. I will be attending University of Virginia, and I will be working on a master's in linguistics in hopes of being more credible and working with language groups and tribes and everything who want to get their language back into the flow. And it is here where our story begins. While wandering around the campus and visiting foreign language offices, I saw a sign on a door, and it said Maya Quiche. And my first thought was, Quiche? I've never heard of this language. I want to study all of it. And after begging and cajoling and contacting people, I was allowed to sit in on the level 2 class that they were offering, and I was able to be an observer but also participate whenever I could mutter anything. And it was really wonderful. It's part of a collaboration done with University of Virginia, Duke University, and Vanderbilt University. And each of them teaches a language, and they all teach it through teleconferencing, so it's like a big Skype session among 3 classrooms, and the languages are Tibetan, Haitian Creole, and of course Maya Quiche. So I got to be part of this, and I got to learn about the Quiche language, and I learned who speaks it, which would be the Quiche people. Yes. Did you look ahead? Oh wow. Okay. There should be squares instead of upside-down exclamation points, but you get the drift. So, the Quiche people, they are an indigenous Maya population, and there are about 1 million Quiche speakers. They live in the western highlands of Guatemala, and their economy is based on agriculture. So they grow bananas, sugar, coffee, and cardamom, which is pretty much my breakfast today. Unfortunately, due to natural disaster and also problems with land breakdown, they deal with a lot of issues with their economy. They also deal with poverty and malnutrition, and they also deal with a bunch of violence. Unfortunately, there's a lot of drug trafficking through Guatemala, and there's a lot of gang violence, and a very small amount of criminal cases ever make it to trial. So they deal with a lot of that, and they're also dealing with being marginalized through past colonization up to today's government, just treating the Mayan Indian culture as just not valid, and just Spanish culture is the way to go. And so they're dealing with a lot of that. So they are a culture kind of in trouble, and their language is considered vulnerable. But luckily they are trying to maintain it even though Spanish is taking over, and many of the Quiche have a working knowledge of Spanish, but they still work on keeping their language going. So, dun, dun, dun. All right, so one of the key things about Quiche is it is what the Mayan Book of Creation is written in. Back in the 1500s, it was transcribed, and here is a copy of the original Popol Vuh, it is called. And they don't like it to be called the Mayan Bible, so don't go there. But it is an important text in their culture, and here is what it would look like with some English and today's orthography. So, ooh, Quiche. Do you like it? Anyone interested? Anyone want to learn some Quiche today? All right, okay, this is kind of the cool side, so you guys need to step it up a little bit. So, all right, so where is Quiche spoken? Okay, it is spoken, as you probably have guessed through obvious comments, Guatemala. And it is spoken in the kind of light blue area. Let's see if we can get an arrow. Yeah, there we go. So that is where the Quiche live and speak and breathe and make coffee. And the area that we're going to be looking at is just to the left of the K, if you can see that. If you can't, that's still what we're talking about. So, okay, for all of you who love language facts, here are some quick ones. The Quiche language is closely related to other Mayan languages, and they are considered languages and not dialects, and that's an important thing. The languages that they're closely related to are Uspantec, Sacapultec, Tzutzuchil, and Kakchikel. Now, Quiche does have dialects, and we're going to talk about the Nahuala dialect today. So don't worry about any other ones. We can talk about those after class. Yeah. Okay, now the language is also a verb, object, subject, word order language. There are several exceptions within the language, and Spanish does tend to kind of inspire subject-first sentences. But again, Quiche tries to fight that. And also the language has stress mainly on the last syllable, but of course there will be exceptions to that. I don't think we'll have time for that, so you're off the hook. And the last thing is, for all of you grammar fanatics, Quiche is ergative and agglutinative. Anyone know what those mean? All right, again, this side is kind of carrying the weight here, so you'll have a chance later on. I'll focus on you for the final exam. So, where are we? Oh, the Quiche alphabet, this is awesome. They use a Latin script, so it's easy to read for those of you whose native tongue is using the Latin script. If you're from Thailand, sorry. So now I've arranged this in sort of a color-coded grouping here. So we'll break this down real quickly. And these are fairly straightforward consonants to pronounce. They're similar to Spanish and English. So there is ch, t, ts, k, m, n, r, with a little flap, p and s. And these ones in the dark blue, same thing, b, d, f, and g, but those are only found in borrowed words. So if you borrow a word, it'll have those letters and give it back when you're done. These letters are familiar but with a twist. So L, W, and Y are simply L, W, and Y, unless you pronounce them at the end of a syllable or a word, in which case they are voiceless. So the L would be a lateral fricative, found in Navajo, Welsh, and I believe Klingon. Is Kelvin here? Kelvin? Okay, I'll ask him in his talk. The W is pronounced like a voiceless oo, so and the Y is a voiceless E. So, and if you have trouble pronouncing those, I've been getting away with pronouncing them normally, like W and Y and L, so there's not too much pressure there. Now, these letters, they look familiar, but they sound different to most of what you might think. The Q is pronounced, it's uvular, it's back of the throat, further back than K. So if you reach K, keep going, and the J is like a German, what's it, velar? Yeah, so like Bach, ich, uch, or other words that have that sound. And then finally, the X is simple, it's just shh, shh. Oh, you guys are like a Zen group, this is awesome. Okay, adjectives, who knows what adjectives are? All right, great. So I'm going to tell you anyway. Adjectives are slightly different. These are pronounced slightly different from the non-ejectives, but an adjective is when air is trapped and then released in the, from the throat with more force than a regular letter. So these would be pronounced, as best I can do, b, ch, t, ts, k, and that last one put me in the hospital for 3 weeks when I first tried it. So, to give you an idea of these, as best I can do, it's the difference between a chocolate chip cookie and chocolate chip cookie, which are indigenous to Guatemala. Okay, and this is one of my favorite words. I have trouble with this. Ipapal. Anyone? You guys are my favorites. Okay, now the glottal stop is different. It looks like an adjective marking, but it is not. It's a consonant, and it only comes after vowels. And again, don't confuse it with the adjective marking that only comes after consonants. It's when the throat closes, creating a pause between vowels. And I think you probably all know what that is. The big example in English would be uh-oh. Like uh-oh instead of oh. Or also it's found in Hawaii. Some people will say Hawaii, others will say Hawaii. Others will take a really long time and go Hawaii. So in Quiche, there's a difference between mes and mates. So make sure when you throw out the trash, you're not throwing out the cat. Okay, vowels. Vowels are our friends. They're just like in Spanish, a, e, I, o, and u. The only thing you need to know about is when you're reading them, because there are different orthographies based on what source you're using. Some will make the vowels doubly long, or they'll have an umlaut or a colon after it. So we're going to use the convention used by the Guatemalan Academy of Mayan Languages. So now, let's get to the grammar parts, and I assure you this will not be painful. Start with the nouns. Okay, so the nouns are pretty straightforward. I really like them because they don't decline based on case or gender. Plurals are easy. Only animate nouns get gender, so you don't have to worry about the table being a girl or the swimsuit being a neuter thing or whatever. So that really eliminates a lot of the grammar usage. So that makes me happy. So here's an example. Achtich, which is teacher. The plural would just be achtihab. Most plurals end with, for humans are AB or IB, and there are exceptions, and those you just have to learn. But for the most part, sofa isn't pluralized, car is always one form, and that to me is what made it easy going in. So there are other plural markers, though. You can use A for plural animate. You can use tak for anything, really. And then you can also use numbers, verb conjugations, and context to determine plurality. Okay. Here are those words borrowed from Spanish I told you about. So, bien, Dios, and doctor. Those are fairly straightforward. Does anyone not speak Spanish here? Ay, caramba. Okay. Anyway, those mean wine, God, and doctor. So, in that order. And then numbers after 3 are often used in Spanish. So they might use hun, keb, oshib, but then after that they'll use cuatro, cinco, seis, but in Quiche spelling. Now, roots are actually a great way of learning, like in any language, and Quiche has a lot of words where they use common roots. So, tijo is to teach, and so from there you get tijonik, tijoshel, tijobal. You can add an adjective to that, nima tijobal, and go from school to the university, which is the normal progression. And then achtich, which is teacher. And you'll notice achtich has the tich root, and it also has the ach root, which means one who does. So from there you can get achtich, achkun, and achik. And so kunach means to heal, so one who heals, and achik, maid or a monthly worker, because ich means month, or moon. Okay. The articles are very straightforward, again, no gender. There's le, and sometimes re for the. And then for a or an, you use hun, which is also one, also the number one. So like in German, you can use ein for one or a. So one thing about the nouns that you may have seen in other languages is that some have to deal with inalienable possession. So there are some nouns where you just can't have it floating around. It's family members, body parts, and then just some weird exceptions. So for example, woman is ishok. And wife is ishokil, but the dashes before it mean you have to put something in front of it. You can't just run around going ishokil, 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 because they'll think you're weird. Whereas if you do it in Bratislava, running around going ishokil, wife, 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 they think you're weird for other reasons. I sadly found that out at lunch. And then another exception is the word house. If you just say, look, a house, you say ha, but if you say my house, you have to use the word och. And that would be woch. The W means my. And we'll get to that in a second, too. All right, question words. They're very straightforward. For some reason, most of them begin with a J, except for the last one, which is the question particle. And it's kind of like chu in Esperanto, or I think in Hindi there's kya. And it's basically, it just turns a yes-no statement into a yes or no question. The ones I would recommend you learn first of all are the last two. Has, which is what or how, and la, which is the question particle. So how would you say what? How would you say what if you were Lindsay Williams? No. Has? What? You do that. I've seen you. Yeah, that's you, yeah. I'm watching you. Okay. Anyway, has and la, those are going to come up again, so they'll be on the test. Okay, independent pronouns, fairly straightforward as well. They're independent words. They usually come at the beginning of a sentence when used for equivalence. So like if I wanted to say, I am a teacher, well, let's see. In is I, and achtik, as you know, is teacher. As it says up there, the third person pronoun is often omitted. So if you wanted to say he is a teacher or she is a teacher, are achtik, or you could just say achtik. So if I wanted to pick on someone else, like Lindsay, and I wanted to say she is a teacher, I could just say achtik. And you would go, has? Now, related to the independent pronouns are the dependent pronouns, and they kind of parallel the forms of the independent. And I won't make you memorize these because I haven't, but I just want to show the similarity because the dependent pronouns, which are called set B, they're going to come back, and you're going to see them again, and I want you to know them a little bit. Okay. But first we have to talk about set A pronouns. And these are the possessive pronouns that go on the beginning of a word. So all words, when possessed, have a possessive pronoun. So new would be my, if the word begins with a consonant. That's what the PC stands for, preconsonantal. And then the V, or PV, is pre-vocalic, or before a vowel. So let's start with B. Say it. B. B. That's actually better than mine. So B is my name. New B is, B is name. New B is my name. Abi is your name. And if you wanted to be formal, you could say B la, and that's the formal version, but we're all friends here, right? Right? Say it like I mean it. There you go. All right, okay. Bila. Okay, pay attention to that. That's going to come back too. Here's another example. Watch is face. So new watch is my face. A watch is your face, if I'm talking to you one at a time. I like a watch. I like your face. You have an honest face. And watch la, again, for the people I'm not friends with, watch la. So anyway, a very important grammar thing to discuss right now. Oh, it's snack time. Oh, this is awesome. All right. These are so good. Did anyone have any of these yesterday? Does anyone remember the lame American snack table? Yeah, what'd you think? Yeah, they're okay. But the reason I brought these, and this is my own personal story here, the reason I brought these is because I thought this was funny. Because about 2 months after the class began, I was driving around and I saw this truck. And I found out that there's a brand of snacks called Oots. And I fell about in the parking lot laughing so hard because in Quiche, Oots means good. And I just thought, oh my God, there's Quiche in Virginia. Who knew? So, but it's useful because we're going to practice some basic phrases. All right, and you're all going to participate, so start forming a line. So, la Oots a watch? Yes? Huh? Oh, wow, you guys are jumping ahead of me. No, but yes, you. That's good. How'd you get, is your face good?
The first one is the
question particle, okay. Good. Just for that here. Give that lady a chip. Yes. So yes. That means, is your face good? Literally. Or we also, the Quiche use it to mean, how are you? Informal. So, but literally, is your face good? So, you would respond by saying, it's good, or Oots. Yes, exactly. In fact, you would say, it is good, thanks. Oh wait, sorry, there's the formal, by the way, if you. So yes, la Oots a watch. You would say Oots maltiost, and that means fine, thank you, or literally, it's good. It is good, thank you. Let's try another one. So has ubi. Does anyone remember what has is? And then ubi. Your name. Yes, exactly. So, what's your name? And that's informal. Literally, how is your name, or what is your name? And then the formal is has bila, for someone named Lillian. Okay, and the response would be blank le nubi, which is my name is, literally, blank the my name. So we're going to practice now. Okay? All right. So, okay, ask me how I am. You sir.
La Oots a watch?
You, sir.
La Oots a watch.
Okay. You.
La Oots a watch?
Great. You, sir. Ask me how I am.
La Oots watch la?
Very formal, thank you.
La Oots a watch?
I would say Oots maltiosh.
La Oots vashla.
Ooh, formal, okay. Oots maltiosh. I would still respond the same way. And then if I want to ask, hasabi.
Vajim le nupi. Vajim le nupi.
Great. You again.
Mathieu Lenoupi.
Great. All right, you at home. Has abi. Oots, well done. Thank you. All right, that was great, guys, great. Give yourselves a round of applause. Okay, excellent. So let's go back to some grammar. Adjectives, this goes really quick. Adjectives are straightforward. Again, there's no declining based on case. There's no gender endings or anything. So adjectives are generally easy to memorize. There are some that have plural endings. I won't go into them, but again, same as nouns. Some will have plural endings along with the nouns. One thing I really liked about the adjectives is that you can't stick them together, you can't link them. So if you wanted to say the big white house, you literally have to say the big house, it's white, which is lenimaha sak. I just thought that was kind of cool. Okay, one last part about the grammar that I really like are verbs. Verbs, to me, they are the Anne Hathaway of the Quiche language. They are rich and beautiful, they're elegant, they cover a wide range of expression, and they don't respond to my emails. Okay, so after that big build-up, there is no verb to be. As we've seen before, if I wanted to say, I am a teacher, I would say, in achtik, and the verb is assumed. I believe Russian has this too. Where, yes, you! Oh, hi, oh, that's right, okay. Oh, okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you, miss, because we're on a formal level here. After we shared a halushki together last night. Oh, okay, well, it made a man out of me. Anyway, I have no idea what that means. Edit that. So there is a word for to exist in a place, and that is ko, and it's similar to Hungarian. So if I wanted to say ko leachtich palitihobal, the teacher is at the school, it literally means the teacher exists at the school. And this word also, like in Hungarian, is used for possession. So if I wanted to say, I have a book, I would say, ko le nuuch, which it literally means, there exists my book. Anyone speak Hungarian? Okay. Again, this side of the room. I love you guys. Okay. So the thing about verbs, and this is where it starts to get a little more intricate, and unfortunately I can't get to the whole realm of verbs because there is so much, but the easy part starts here. And most verbs begin with a tam marker, and this expresses tense, aspect, or mood, or all three depending on what day of the week it is. Now these forms, here's a partial list. Or ka is the present tense or incompletive, something that is still going on or that happens on a regular basis. Sh is completive or past tense to most of us. There's imperative, which is ch, and m is negated imperative. So we could say, I am doing, I did, do it, don't do it. But right now we're just going to focus on the present tense right now for a couple examples. And I'll go through them quick, but hopefully not too quick. So for intransitive verbs, the formula is the tam marker plus one of the set B pronouns, which is the subject of the sentence, and then the verb. So in this case, say we have be, which means to go. So we use the incompletive, the k, plus im, which means I, and then the verb, be. Put them together and you get kimbe. Say it, say kimbe. Nice. Another example would be cha, to speak, and in this case, cha is actually intransitive. It doesn't take a direct object. So again, incompletive is ka, I is in, and cha is to speak. Put them together and you get, wow, you guys are like a native Mayans, awesome. Okay, now transitive verbs, the formula is a little different, and it gets a little what scientists and linguists call wonky. What you do is you have the same tam marker for the beginning. You use a set B pronoun, but this time it's the object of the sentence. And this is where the ergativity comes in. And then you go back to the set A pronouns, which again were the possessive pronouns, and that's your subject. And then, of course, you end with the verb stem. So an example would be chabe, which means to talk to, and this one is a transitive verb. So you use the marker k plus at, which is you, plus in, which is I, and chabe, which is to speak. So you have katin chabe, which means I talk to you. Similar example is esach, which is to remove or take out. So you have the tam marker ka, plus there's an empty set here. There's a no pronoun. It's a void. So you leave it blank. And then for we, and then esach, for to take it out. And that is we take it out. Now, the forms are straightforward to some extent, but then after a while, there are some forms that are invalid. You can't put two certain pronouns together. Why? No one will tell me, but it's just kind of a rule for them. And they have other forms. So they use passive forms, which, again, it's beyond the scope of this talk. But I will say that passive is used for a lot of other things, too, including giving a long list of instructions, and also for saying some common phrases. And two of my favorites are Ketamatach le Quiche, which means you can learn Quiche. Literally, Quiche can be learned. And the other one is my favorite, Na kabantach tahumal. I'm not going to do that. Or it's not going to get done by me. So if you want to see that later on, let me know and I'll write it down for you. It's fun. Okay, one last thing about the grammar is positionals. Now these are adjectives that can function as verbs, and there is a whole mess of them. Quiche just has a wide range of these, and they go from sitting and standing and kneeling on one knee, and sitting on your haunches, and being curved or bent or hanging from a nail. It's very specific. And being married, they count being married as a position. Sure, okay. Other ones are being round like a disc, round like a ring. There is round like a sphere. There is being thick and sticky, stretched out. Being bent over due to sickness or depression. Again, kind of specific. And then there's beer, which is being rumbling and fat or heavy. And there's a sentence that I couldn't find that says she walked along the street like stomping and being fat and heavy, and it expressed this sentiment in 3 words, and it was amazing how specific and descriptive it was. So here are some fun positionals. Tech, which means butt hanging out. Like you can say your butt, is hanging out in the chair or something, and they can be used for permanent qualities or sometimes temporary, but the permanent one is kind of fun. So if I said tech, that's someone who always has plumber's butt. So, or chick is hair or feathers standing straight up, and it's used for a chick, a person with a perpetual bedhead. So, and I thought this was really specific, and it seemed very, casual and modern and hip and fun. So that's one of my favorite things about Quiche. Like I said, you could also use them, tie them in with verbs. So pak, which is just face up, can convey a whole meaning of ich pak apoch aretak shochulik, which means you all were lying on your back looking upwards when we arrived. And I think it's just the range of description for so few words just cracks me up. So here's another example. Chak means to be on all fours. Chakachik is a tall, four-legged animal. The tall, for some reason, is implied in that version. And then kachak chatik means he moves along on all fours. That's one word. It's a verb. It's got the tam marker in the beginning, if you recognize that. And it's just wonderfully expressive, and I wish I could go into it more. But I have 1 minute. Oh my God. So, really quickly, we have a little bit about modern Quiche and the Quiche people, is that there is a pan-Mayan movement to kind of unite Mayan culture and to keep it going and to fight the good fight. Luckily, 60% of Guatemalans speaks at least one of the 20 Mayan languages, so things are still going, but they could always use more help, and that's why I'm studying Quiche to save the world. Now, there's a band called Balam Ahpu. They are a hip-hop band. They sing in Quiche and Spanish. They teach children music as well as culture. And they are in part of a movement called Guatemala, or changing Guatemala to Guatemala, because mala means bad in Spanish, and they want to get rid of the bad sentiment and replace it with Mayan awareness. So here's some lyrics for that. We can't get the audio, but I think we're kind of short on time anyway. So if you want to come to me later on, I can play it for you, or I can give you a link for the stuff. So thank you to Professor Marika Sattler, the woman by the arrow. She is the one who let me sit in on her class, and these are my classmates. And I also want to say Mastiosh Chue Chele Nutatabeshik to all of you, and I'd like to return the favor if we have time, and ask if Lak Ohun Koto Chiach. If you have any questions. Any questions? Yes.
How mutually intelligible are the Mayan languages there?
How mutually intelligible are they? The ones that I've seen, I've only studied Quiche, but I've become familiar with Caxiquel, which is one of the four that is closely related to geographically as well as linguistically, and it's very similar. But I've only seen one chapter of a Caxiquel textbook because they're not really prevalent. But I would say about 50% of the words are easily identifiable and relatable. But there are many Caxiquel words that are different enough to make me go, oh, okay, it's like Norwegian and Swedish or any of the the Slavic languages. So it would be fairly easy to go from one to the other, but I can't say for sure. I'm not experienced in that sort of thing. Yeah? Anyone else? Anyone? You, sir. Oh.
Yeah, question about ergative. It seems so alien. Does it make sense when you learn a language that has ergative? I mean, why? How can several languages come up with this strange structure of shifting the subject and the object around? Does it make sense once you learn and know a language that has it? Does it feel natural? I mean, does it ever feel natural?
You seem to be overly concerned, and that makes me suspicious, sir. I don't know because ergativity is still new to me. I was studying Basque for a little while, like an hour and a half, and I came across it. We're okay. I came across that, and I think it kind of drove me away. But once I realized that it's just transitive subjects of an intransitive verb end up becoming objects of a transitive verb, I don't get it, and I don't get how more than a few languages could come up with it and not be related. I know, what's up with that? So, I don't know, maybe when I get my degree in linguistics, I can look into it better, and I just bought a book on split ergativity, because it just ergativity, so, but I haven't even opened it, but I'll get back to you in a year and a half, and we'll talk then. Okay, anyone else? Oh, you, sir. You, sir, with the head.
Yeah. So are there schools that teach in Quiche, or is everything in Spanish in Guatemala?
My understanding is that there is some Quiche. I don't know the specifics about it, but it seems like there's more resistance to it than actual programs. I don't know all about it, but I do know that the hip-hop band Balamapu was working with schools, but I only know of it in like a small region, so I don't know what the whole Mayan sentiment is, the whole Guatemalan plan is. That's something that I'm actually going to be looking into probably in the next few months, and I'll be taking another Quiche class in the fall for reals. So, I hope to find out more then, and hopefully next year I'll be giving a talk called "Everything I Told You Before Was Wrong: The Real Facts About Quiche." So, but yeah, I'll talk to you in a year and a half. How about the three of us go get coffee then? You, me, and ergative boy. Okay, great, thank you. Okay, you, sir, with the other head. Yeah, I wanted to make a list of things, but unfortunately I was working on the presentation up until you all walked in. So if you talk to me later on, I can give you a link to some things. There is a really good website that is a little inconsistent with the stuff that I've been taught, but overall, it's still really wonderful. And and I think if you just do Quiche search, I mean, you'll find some things. There's a couple online PDF dictionaries. There is. Does anyone know Living Tongues? Living Tongues, yeah, they do language documentation. They have an online Quiche talking dictionary, and I'm going to be using that and linking it with a website that I'm working on with UVA. We're digitizing the Popol Vuh, the Mayan Book of Creation, and I'll be linking audio files to that, and hopefully maybe going next year and getting more recordings. But yeah, if you see me anytime after this or before Sunday night, I will be glad to write things down, or maybe I can make a list of stuff. So, you, sir, with the Danish. The only speakers I talked to were the actual band Balamapu, and it was through the teleconferencing, and they played songs. It wasn't a lot of interaction. They also during that session they had a professor from, I think, University of Kentucky, Rusty Barrett, and he gave a talk on Mayan poetics. But the band was really kind of impressed that there was not only a classroom of people who wanted to learn this, but also 3 classrooms that were connected and willing to make the effort to learn this language that no one really seems to have heard of, except for linguists and left-handed dentists. And that's an interesting story, but that's beyond the scope of today as well. So, yeah. So, anyone else? You in the green shirt with the green shirt. Okay, well, hold on. Lexical question. This one I have to let him ask because I won't remember it. Hi. Hi.
Hello.
What's your name?
Andreas.
Andreas, I'm Dave. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Yeah. You want to have coffee with me and Matthew and Ergative Boy?
With pleasure.
Okay, I'll see you in a year and a half. What's your question?
Hopefully sooner.
Okay.
Chaka cheek, what you said was the word for four-legged tall animal?
Yes. I think so.
What is the specificity of animals, or generally classes of animals that are not common in the Mayan culture or the geographical surroundings? I.e. giraffe in Africa.
Is it a classification?
Like in Ejectives, for example, they have different words for snow or different types of snow, and I was just wondering if there's anything more specific than this.
Well, the interesting thing, I like your question, I like your way of thinking, fella. The thing is, well, let me get back on screen. Oh, wait, jeez, it follows me wherever I go. So, hi. Hi, say hi.
Hi. Yes. Yes. Hi.
Nice. Anyway, well, the thing is that chakatik, or whatever the word was, it doesn't actually specify a specific animal. It just specifies something tall on 4 legs. But chak means on 4 legs, or it could mean me on all 4s, like crawling around. It actually describes a car. If you park a car, you are basically chalking it. So the positionals aren't really grouping animals together. It's basically just describing a type of characteristic. So I don't think there is any real grouping of animals by description. But there are descriptions that will kind of specify an animal. So like there's a word positional that means having a domed cover, and that would be a turtle. There's another positional that describes, and let me see if I can get this right, being round and cute with a hint of abandonment. So like a soccer ball that's left out on the field is that positional. And they end up getting really specific. And even my professor says we don't even know the range of all this. So it's still an ongoing thing. It's still a language that is striving to be kind of understood completely. And there's so much going on with it. And I have really fallen in love with it over the past 5 months. And I really hope to continue it. And I hope that, maybe next year I can present more to you and you and you and you at home, but not you, sir, and only you formally. So I hope that answers your question. I'll see you in a year and a half. Anyone else? Anyone else? Hey, you with the hand. Oh, hold on. Getting my daily workout. Hi.
Hi. Could you tell us what the word is for the thing which is round, small, and cute with a small sense of abandonment? Because that sounds fun.
Oh, okay, yeah, actually I can, if you give me a second. Why do they have to sit in the back? God. Okay. Okay. Anyway, anyone have another question while I'm looking? Oh, I have 1 minute of questions. Anyone? Anyone? You, or are you just having a seizure? No? You're good? Okay. Okay. Yeah. Anyone? Okay. Anyone? Okay, we'll tell you what. Oh, hold on. Okay, you. 50 seconds. Well, what's the first one? Oh, Basque and Quiche? It's like comparing like a lovely dinner with like steak and vegetables and potatoes with butter and ice cream at the end and a Buick. It's just they don't compare at all. They're Basque is an isolate, and the Mayan languages are not, but very different, night and day. And that was one of the appeals of studying it because even though Mayan languages are related to each other, they aren't related to anything I've ever studied. So if you want, talk to me and I'll get you some resources and you can take a look at everything. And just there's a site that has great audio samples and pictures and colors and shapes and stuff. And yeah, it's wonderful. So, all right. So, okay, Matthew's looking at me. He's going like this. So, thank you so much for coming, Matthews. And and one other thing. If I can do this. All right. Hey, bye. See you later. And oh, that's right. We don't get music. So, okay. So, hey, bye. See you later. And we'll talk to you soon. So anyway, the other day I was walking down the street. Okay, well, I had some musical examples, but oh. All right, we're out of here. Hey, bye. Have a great day, guys.
El horizonte 4 direcciones, maniques que las dos piernas, manos y pies, maniques que